Hello and welcome back to another episode with Level Up Architects, the channel where we explore the world of architecture one architect at a time. And in today's episode, we are going to be looking at an architect with the name Sharon Davis. It will be the very first female architect I feature on this channel. But before we get into that, I just want to remind everyone, on the 11th of December, I'll be streaming live as part of a very large charity event called Thankmas 2021. We will be raising funds for a charity called New Story, who builds houses for the needy all over the world. So please, if you can join me and can donate, links are in the description of the video. They're active now, so you can actually go and donate now. If you can't, just join me for the live stream. I'll be streaming for quite a while. I'll keep everyone up to date on the time frames and when I'll be going live, but it will be on the 11th of December. So just join me, come have a chat. I'll be showing you some cool things like 3D printing with concrete, if you can believe it, and all sorts of other things. I have a whole agenda worked out for the day, and it will be a lot of fun. So yes, please join me on the day. I also want to remind everyone to follow me on your choice of social media. It's where I keep everyone up to date on what's happening on the channel, when I'll be going live, when I make videos, when I post them, and so on. And also, if you're new around here, please hit the subscribe button. If you enjoy the videos, hit the like button, and also turn on notifications with the bell icon. It helps. YouTube gives you a notification to tell you when I go live and when I post videos, so it's very helpful. So yes, let's jump over to the meat and bones of the video. This is Sharon Davis. She is the principal architect of Sharon Davis Designs. She is a fantastic human being. Her projects are rooted, I would say, in almost philanthropy, non-profit, whatever you want to call it. Her projects always have a very, very deep, functional, social core to them, and I love her. She's absolutely wonderful, and she doesn't do all this philanthropy without. She doesn't sacrifice aesthetics or low cost, for instance. She's brilliant. She does quite a lot of good in the world, and I really appreciate that of her. This is her team at the moment. I imagine that her team has changed in the past a little bit. What I do want to show you is her mission. I find this very interesting. I'm going to read the sentence from their website. Links for all of the stuff I show will be in the description. So if you are interested, just go and click on the link. The firm ultimately measures the success of its designs by the degree to which they expand access to the fundamental human right of social justice, economic empowerment, and a healthy, sustainable environment. So I think that really rings true with her projects. All of them are rooted in a healthy, sustainable environment. It has something to do with economic empowerment and some form of social justice as well, except perhaps for the very last project I'll be showing, which is a house, so be sure to stick around for that. The first project I want to show you is called Affordable Earth Housing. It's a prototype rather than a specific project, but it's situated in Rinkwavu in Rwanda, and it was completed in 2016. So yes, this is more like a model house to show what is possible, and hopefully it was adopted by the community at large in Rinkwavu. It's all done with sustainability in mind and with affordability in mind. So what I understand is this house was built for less than $10,000 US, which still is very expensive in my mind, but considering the global situation in general, I think that's a very affordable house. So what they did was she uses compressed earth blocks, earth plaster, earth floor, a rammed earth foundation, wood framing, and all sorts of local labor to essentially build this house, which has a couple of features. It builds skills in the area, and it also minimizes cost of importing materials from far away. So I think that's very, very clever. The eaves of the building allow cold air to travel into the building. So this overhang on the porch would allow air to move into the building, and there's a ventilated roof cavity that allows for sort of a stack effect to take place and for ventilation to circulate air through the building, which is very, very cool. These are those natural sort of on-site made blocks made from earth taken from the site itself, which is very cool. And yes, I know it doesn't exactly look like a 5-star hotel, but this is actually a very, very good step towards sort of housing equality in the world, and it promotes a lot of human rights, I feel. Pair this with a bunch of facilities around and you have something really, really special at hand. I mean, it's a very simple thing. It's not supposed to be the most beautiful designs, but I think there is a beauty to the simplicity of what she's done here. This is the Women's Opportunity Center. It was completed in 2013, and it's situated in Kayanza, Rwanda. This building was actually my introduction to Sharon Davis and made me really like her buildings. It's essentially a farm and a training facility for the women of the local community. What you can see here is sort of a shop front, if you will, which is situated close to the road, which I think is genius, very geniusly placed design, especially when you consider sort of the urban fabric or peri-urban or whatever you want to call it. But this sort of active edge storefront is very brilliant, and this is where the ladies from the local community can sell their goods that they make at this opportunity center. Once again, she makes use of locally crafted bricks. In fact, bricks are one of the fundamental things that they produce at this farm, as well as the training around producing these bricks. So it's locally sourced clay. I'm not sure if it's fired bricks or what the process of making these bricks are entirely, but it's locally crafted by these women. And here you can see the active edge, or the shop front, if you will. So the whole project is sort of envisioned as a little town with almost, I would say, huts around a central courtyard. I'm sure we'll see more of that soon. In fact, let me quickly go to this. Now, here you can see some of the huts. These structures are, I think it's storage, I'm not sure. The roof is planted, which means it provides extra insulation for whatever they store inside these buildings. It might even be places for them to plant seedlings and so on, where they need a little bit more of a controlled climate. I love these little roofs. They remind me of sort of leaves. They look like little leaves that cover these circular huts. And yeah, here you can see sort of what I'm trying to say is how the organization of the project is centered around a central space and sort of gives the impression of a little village. Each of these huts, if you want to call it, or spaces, is designed as a circular space, because they apparently, when they do give classes, they give classes to about 25 women at a time, and they prefer these women to sit in a circle because it encourages engagement with everyone. So there's a stronger sense of community if they sit in a circle. And we'll see an interior shot of one of these in a second. But these are also designed in a way that if in the future they need to be changed and adapted, the brickwork can simply be taken down and something else can be inserted underneath this leaf-like roof structure. The leaf-like roof structure also captures water for this site, which means that they will be able to water their crops all year round and also have drinking water, which I think is a very often overlooked human right, the right to access to clean drinking water. But I think this is a beautiful project. Here you can see some of the terraces where they farm vegetables and so on, whatever they need to farm. And I think it's genius that it's sort of terraced and you can walk there, which means the ladies don't have to bend over too much to get to the ground. The bed is almost a bit raised for them to have ease of access to this, to do planting and weeding and all of the things that they need to do. Here you can see one of those circular spaces. It's lovely. The brickwork is expanded so that it allows light and air to flow through the spaces, and the ladies can just sit around, and one of them would be teaching a class, say in economics or how to manage a house, all sorts of classes. I think it's a wonderful project. I love the use of brick. I love the use of concrete very sparingly. This lintel, I think, is very nicely designed. And this would be a spot for someone to come and collect the water that they've collected from the rooftops. And I love the way this is curved. It's just, in terms of femininity, this building is a very, very good example of nice curves and just a softer appearance in general, even though they're making use of very hard, solid, natural materials. I think it's beautiful. This is a very good shot of how this farm is laid out as almost a village, which is a vernacular in Rwanda, if I'm not mistaken. So it takes the local culture into consideration quite heavily. And I applaud Sharon Davis for doing this. And like I said, this was the first project I got introduced to of her, and I've loved her work ever since. This is Rwanda Share Houses in Rinkwavu, Rwanda, and was completed in 2015. These are dormitories for a local medical center. Each of these dormitories have, I believe, 8 rooms surrounded by, well, and has a central social space, sort of a common room that's terraced. Once again, I love her use of natural materials, and I just want to point out a couple of things. You see these woven screens. They were most likely made at the Women's Opportunity Center, and I think that's wonderful. These clay bricks, I wonder where they got them. They probably also got them at the Women's Opportunity Center where they make them. The glass bricks are just standard glass bricks, not unlike the glass bricks used in MVRDV's project that I showcased in last week's video. I'll leave a link up in the corner somewhere for you to go and check that out. If you like glass bricks, it's something you should check out. It's quite wonderful. So yes, once again, she makes use of local labor, locally sourced materials, and local craftsmanship to produce this wonderful building, which has a very, very deep social understanding of what is necessary. Like I said, it's a dormitory for staff and families of the local hospital. And also, I think there's a medical center and there's a bunch of facilities. So if I go back to Sharon Davis's way of measuring her success, there's definitely a component of social justice as well as sustainability. And I think there's a beauty to this project as well. I mean, I love these little windows. I love how she's created the social space, which is terraced. That would be a dining space, and this is more of a lounge where people can sit and have a chat. Ventilation can come through this clear story and most likely vent out through the roof. She's thought of so many things, and this comes from a couple of years of spending time in Rwanda building buildings for local communities, and she can only arrive at this place once she's actually gained a very, very good understanding of the local community. And not just in Rwanda, I mean the local community where she is basing these buildings. So I think it's a lovely building, it's sustainable, it's socially appropriate, it's sober, and it's just well considered. I love the way the bricks are slanted, the top 4 rows. It's beautiful. The next project I want to show you is Bayalpata Hospital. Let me try that again. It's Bayalpata Hospital in Akim, Nepal. What is the next step? Once you've started producing bricks, what is the next step in that evolution? And I think the next step in that evolution is rammed earth buildings. And rammed earth, you can kind of see and imagine it as the natural version of concrete. So this project specifically is an entire hospital situated on the same site as a previous hospital that was very run down. So they replaced the entire hospital with, well, obviously hospital facilities, but also dormitories and housing for the local staff and their families. And I imagine that there would be some sort of accommodation for the families of some of the patients. And this is a fully functional hospital. It has surgeries, it has all this sort of, it has a radiology, it has rooms and ICUs, it has everything a modern hospital needs. And I love the way she's designed this in a very natural, economical way. This really does uplift the community. Again, she makes use of local labor, local material, local craftsmanship. The earth that was used in the rammed earth was also sourced right here on site. There's the hospital facilities. I imagine that's a dormitory, and that's some of the housing facilities. I love the idea that she's incorporated some courtyards in the design of the building, and that will be shown in a second. Exactly some of the courtyards. And you can see how this rammed earth really looks like concrete. It's just a little bit browner because of the color of the earth that they used. Maybe there's a bit of a clay component to it. And then she's provided some screens to just minimize give the people a little bit of shade while they sit and wait to be seen by a doctor or get the service that they need. Yes, like I said, it's a fully functional hospital with even a laboratory. She does all the little sustainable tricks like allowing air to flow through and get out. I believe the only space in this project that makes use of mechanical ventilation is the surgery. And that's not just because they couldn't, it's because they have to use mechanical ventilation in a surgery. You cannot take any chances with outside pathogens in a surgery. You really need to make sure that the air you have in a surgery is clean and correct. They also have solar panels on all the south-facing roofs, which means this whole hospital can not only power itself, but it pushes power back into the grid of Nepal, which I think is fantastic. And I love the way she's given the windows a little bit of height, and she's sliced into the facades to elongate the windows even more. I mean, this canteen facility has a lovely air about them with locally sourced timber. Again, a very good idea of how ventilation works throughout this building. And they also make use of a geoswale to minimize erosion when it's the rainy season. This is what I spoke about, this line that she's carved into the facade. It's just a little bit of a carving into it with the windowsill there. I think that's beautiful. Locally crafted doors, and she's made use of stone for all the retaining walls. So I think this is a very good example of what can be achieved when people just focus, make use of local labor, make use of local materials. And just because it's a sort of a low-cost building doesn't mean it has to be ugly. I think quite the contrary, these types of constraints breed a better sense of design, in my opinion. The more constraints you have, the more you can become creative to solve the problems that you have. This is where you can see how they created the rammed earth. So it's locally sourced soil, which has a 6% mixture of cement into it, and then it's literally placed into these plastic forms, which is the formwork of the shuttering of the wall, for instance, and then they have a pole that they literally just like ram and flatten each bit of soil into it, and you can see that's what creates the striations on the soil. And what they do then is they cap it with an actual concrete lintel, for instance, or concrete columns every here and there, which has steel reinforcing in it to make the building a little bit more rigid and long-lasting. Here you can see how they've created the steel reinforcing for the lintel, which is a giant lintel which spans the entire space. I suppose you could call it a beam at this point instead of a lintel, but it's a bit of both. I think it's beautiful. I love the way rammed earth has these striations in it, and she's left openings, of course, for the windows to be installed afterwards. And I'm so glad for these ladies, because I think they work here. This is some of the housing for the families, and here you can see all the photovoltaic panels on the building. Yes, I think it's a gorgeous example of how to intervene in a community. This is Garrison House in Garrison, New York. It was completed in 2015. So here we do a little bit of a reversal. No longer am I focusing on sort of social justice or buildings for a community. This is simply just a house, a very well considered and well designed house. Sharon Davis has a very good sense of how to use simple materials but give them so much dignity. And I think that's something that runs throughout all of her projects, is giving something a lot of dignity. So what I understand from this project is it was built on the foundation of an old house that was ruined. So they replaced it with this new house. There are two buildings on the site. The one is an old shed, which sort of is completely clad in timber and has very little windows. So it's a very sort of shut-in house with no real connection to the exterior. And its main goal is to keep everything and the environment out and protect what's inside. This building is sort of the opposite of that. It has elements of protection, but then it also wants to allow the landscape and the environment into the house. So I think that dichotomy of the two projects sitting right next to one another is quite nice. Again, she uses very natural materials, the timber cladding of the exterior of the building, which then translates into a lot of the elements that are on the interior of the building, like all the cabinets, and she makes use of a very, very simple palette. It's timber and this sort of dark gray color, flat steel sheets. Everything in the house almost is done with just those two materials, of course, except for the ceilings and so on. You can see even the stairs is sort of folded flat sheets of steel. The dining room table makes use of that same steel and the same color timber. Even the dining room chairs have the same sort of design aesthetic to it, and I think it's beautiful. It's really gorgeous. It's very simple. In terms of the plan, this building is very small. It's literally this living room where the photo is taken from, the kitchen at the far end, the dining room, and then sort of an atrium that leads up to the bedroom. There's only one bedroom with that little glass bathroom that's sort of hidden around the corner. And I think it's very, very gorgeous. You can see the double volume here with the bedroom on that side. And again, she makes use of those simple materials. And she gives it so much dignity and so much style, especially with the flatness of this countertop, which I would imagine is created from the same steel. I think it's gorgeous. What I find very, very cool about this building is this little bathroom, sort of hidden away and tucked around the corner. And this door slides open, and then you can go out onto this patio. And that's the little shed I was talking about. And then you have this lovely view of the landscape and the rest of the site to enjoy, especially while you're taking a nap. I imagine there are curtains or some sort of blind system out there. But here you can also see that this facade has a very strong connection to the shed. It looks very similar. It might be a different color, but in terms of sort of a vernacular, I guess you could say, it's very, very similar. I always say at the end of these videos, when I do look at a house, I always say I wish I could visit this house as an Airbnb. Well, surprise. You can. This is actually listed on Airbnb. It's for me, it's rather expensive per night, but if you consider that's the price for a place in New York, it might be upstate New York, not New York itself, but still, it's not that expensive. It can sleep 2 guests. It's got 1 bedroom and 1 bathroom. And I think it's great that this can be visited as an Airbnb. I think I'll quickly take a couple of questions, if there are any. Jacqueline says, using local products for local communities, ! She is such a genuine architect. Her heart is with the people. Yes, that's very true. There's actually on this Women's Opportunity Center's website page, there's a little video. I'll let it play for a little bit while I talk about it, where Sharon Davis and her colleagues that helped her build this or design this building talk about how they wanted to enrich the lives of the local women specifically. And in all of the projects in Rwanda that I've covered tonight, the labor, when I say they've used locally sourced labor, they actually used more than 30% female labor specifically. That was one of their conditions, it seems. And she really has a very keen sense of social justice and a very, I almost want to say a mother to a community. She wants to see these people thrive. And my heart breaks when I see how poor the conditions are in some of these countries, and not just in some of these countries, literally around the corner from where I live. A similar thing is happening where people are living in very, very, very terrible conditions. And there are very clever small interventions that people can actually, or architects and governments and NGOs, all of these people can do to uplift a community. And it's not just about uplifting a specific community, it's about uplifting the entire country and the entire world. I think getting everyone a very decent roof over their heads and giving them the amenities they need to thrive is very important. But it's also important to learn people skills so that they can help themselves. The old proverb goes that you give a man a fish, he eats for one day. You teach a man how to fish, he eats for a lifetime. That's very true. This specific lady on the screen right now, she started by making bricks out of mud, and now she's grown her business to such a degree that she can actually employ people to help her make more mud bricks. And that's exactly the bricks that they used to design and build this wonderful building. Thank you so much for your comment, Jacqueline. I appreciate it. If I think about Sharon Davis Designs and I think about what they say in their mission to expand the access of fundamental human right of social justice and economic empowerment and a healthy, sustainable environment for everyone, then I think this woman deserves some kind of peace prize or something. I love her designs, and I love that she is able to build low-cost housing and low-cost buildings and facilities without sacrificing aesthetics at all, or she finds the beauty in the roughness of, say, the bricks, or she just finds the beauty in whatever she approaches, and I really, really appreciate that of her. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope everyone enjoyed the video, and I hope everyone enjoyed the showcase. I always forget to ask, what was your favorite building that I showcased of Sharon Davis? Please let me know in the comments down below which building was your favorite. Also, if you made it this far in the video, I think I deserve a subscriber from you. So hit that subscribe button and also hit the like button. It really helps out. If you want to keep up to date with what's happening on the channel, turn on notifications on YouTube so that YouTube can notify you when I go live, and follow me on your choice of social media. It's where I will post all the news on the channel so that you can keep up to date with what's happening. And one final reminder of Thankmas 2021, I'll be streaming live to raise funds for a charity called New Story. They build houses for needy communities around the world. They also end up only spending $10,000 a house, which I think is great. Yes, so thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.